Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 31 of the Crushing Through Life podcast with your hosts, Rob and Jim. It is August 21st, 2021. And as always, let's start off with today's quote. We think mistakenly that success is the result of the amount of time we put in at work instead of the quality of time we put in. And that comes from Arianna Huffington. Arianna is a Greek-American author, syndicated columnist, and businesswoman. She's a co-founder of the Huffington Post, the founder and CEO of Thrive Global, and the author of 15 books. She has been named to Time Magazine's list of the world's 100 most influential people and the Forbes Most Powerful Women list. In 2011, AOL acquired the Huffington Post for a whopping $315 million. On August 11, 2016, it was announced that she would step down from her role at the Huffington Post to devote her time at her new startup, Thrive Global, which focuses on health and wellness information.
Very
awesome.
Nice.
Good for her. I am not a reader of the Huffington Post. But that's an interesting quote nonetheless, and obviously a very successful businesswoman, where we could all lead in her footsteps hopefully one day.
Yeah, definitely.
Not too bad having your business acquired by AOL for $315 million. That's amazing. Good for her.
So a Saturday pod, very rare for us. In fact, so obviously we've been busy this week. I think last Friday was the last time we spoke. So what have you been up to since?
That's right. Yeah. So this past week, I had a week off of work and have been officially on my vacation this past week. And I must say it's been absolutely full of adventure for our family. It's been a ton of fun, and it's exactly what I wanted to do with my time away from work. I wanted to take this time to basically spend time with my son and focus on him, purely on him, just as much time as with him as possible. Whatever he wanted to do, take him on a bunch of road trips. The past, I would say, month or so, we've been kind of home for the most part, and I feel like it's great to have this opportunity to just spend a whole day with him, and wake up every day and just do something with him. So this past weekend, we did a little cottage weekend at a resort in Muskoka, which is just an hour, actually 2 hours north of Toronto, where we live. And it was amazing. We had a great time up there. We actually went with my brother-in-law and their his wife and their daughter, and they had a great time together. Their daughter is a year older than our sons, and it was fantastic just to see them play together and just have a great time, at this little cottage resort that we stayed at.
How was the weather?
The weather was nice. We had great weather. We had a big heat wave the past week, but it broke by the time we got there, which was really great. Unfortunately, the pool there was not heated properly. Can't complain too much because we did end up getting a significant discount for us staying there. It's actually part of the company that I work at. It's their property, so they cut us a pretty good deal.
I see. I like whenever you picture it up there, I always pictured you were just like on the lake somewhere and you could just go swimming. So like, the fact that it wasn't a heat wave, you could at least jump in and out of the lake. But is that not the case then if there's only a pool?
So they do have a pool. And the last time that we were there too, it was pretty cold, but we ended up finding the lake was warmer than the pool. So I don't know if maybe the heater was broken or something like that. Anyway, we had a great time, but like they wanted to go into the pool than the lake for whatever reason. So they ended up going in the pool, but it was so cold that like they had to go in for, whatever amount of time, they come out like for 5-10 minutes. So their like lips were like shivering and like, all right, take a break, warm up in the sun, whatever. But it was so much fun. I love going up there. I love cottaging in general. I just feel like it's just such a great Canadian weekend thing to do during the summertime. It's just so relaxing, especially when you do it with your family. But what was really awesome was we got an opportunity to like have a campfire. The first night we went there, we had a campfire, but it was like a communal campfire. It was like all the resort was around this campfire. We ended up finding one just across the street from the place that we were staying at that no one was using. So it was like, it was on the resort, like you were able to use it, but no one else was using it the second night. So we just saw that, and we had our own private campfire, which was perfect.
Right on. That's awesome.
So we did a big campfire, listened to some Tragically Hip. We made s'mores. Nico was like pointing at the stars. I showed him the Milky Way. He loved looking at that. And in the cottage unit that we were staying at, in the closet there, we ended up finding sparklers, which was pretty cool. So, and it was pretty funny. So I gave my son one of the sparklers, lit it for him. He was going nuts. He just his eyes just lit up.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's held a sparkler, maybe one time during Canada Day, but I gave it to him. And as soon as he grabbed it, he's like, oh, Doctor Strange. And he just starts spinning it in a circle. And I'm like, how do you know Doctor Strange, first of all? And he just starts spinning it in a circle. So I guess it's probably from a YouTube thing that he saw, but it was hilarious. Right. That cracked me up. It was awesome.
What? I never would have thought of that. But yeah, it's totally true because everyone spins them in a circle.
Yeah.
And even Spider-Man says he started doing that. That's circular thing that he does.
Right. So it was a great time. It's a little exhausting when you have two kids running around, but it's nice when you're with other parents because everyone just rallies, right? We all just take turns parenting, and everyone gets a piece of relaxation and vacation or nap time or whatever. We both put the kids down at the same time, and we can all just enjoy our evening, right? So that's good. Other than that, like I said before, we did our CityPass. So we did. We're doing a bunch of adventures this entire week. We saw the CN Tower, which was a blast. They just renovated the CN Tower. If anyone is in Toronto or is visiting Toronto, I would highly recommend you go check out the CN Tower. Even if you have seen it before, I'd say go see it again. It's brand new up there. They just renovated it. They actually extended it about, I would say, a few feet, so you can actually and they put the new glass all around, and you can see further down, closer to the glass area, and get a much clearer view. It's just gorgeous up there. It's really awesome. We had a great time checking out the CN Tower.
I forget if I asked you or not. Would you ever do the CN Tower walk?
You couldn't pay me enough money to do the edge walk. Absolutely not. I would never do the edge walk.
I think
honestly, man, dude, it would take a lot of money to do the edge walk. I'm not joking.
It's so I'm such a risk adverse person that I although I'm sure it's safe all the time.
Yeah.
If someone was like, "Oh, I'll pay for you," I'm like, I don't care. It could cost $500 and be like, "I'll pay for you." It's a one in the, you're never going to do this again in your life. Be like, I don't care.
Dude, I tried to do the glass floor at the CN Tower, and you just look down, and it's just so daunting. It freaks me out. And you have all these kids running beside me and jumping up on the glass floor, and I'm just like, fearless. It's not for me. In fact, I think there was even one point where we're crossing the glass floor, and it kind of did the little when you step on glasses, a little sand type of noise creak, and that freaked me out, and I got off halfway through, and Terry was like, "Did you hear that noise?" I was like, "Yeah, that's why I got off."
I'm pretty sure there's a place somewhere, I've seen videos of it online. There's a place somewhere in Asia where they have a glass bridge. Yeah. And once you get to a certain point, there's a graphic that makes it look like the glass is cracking.
Oh, that would freak me out.
And it freaks everybody out. I can only imagine the stomach drop. You know that feeling you get when you go down in a roller coaster and your stomach drops, or even anytime you look over with heights and whatever it is, and your body's like, no thanks. I can only imagine. I guess, but anyways, I wouldn't do the walk either. I for a certain amount of money, I would, but I have no interest in my adventure of walking up there.
I guess we should tell people what the edge walk is.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So, for those that don't know, the CN Tower, one of the tallest buildings in Toronto, the edge walk is when you actually get to go outside of the building and walk the edge on the outer edge of the CN Tower. You're strapped with a harness, but you're with a party of people, and you're with a guide, and you get to lean over the CN Tower on the harness, and you're just trusting. You're just trusting this one. I think it's probably double harness or whatever it is. You're just trusting your harness to like not break, or you just plummet down below you. I would never do that in my lifetime. Again, like I said, I'm scared of the glass floor alone. It freaks me out. Yeah,
this
you
is
couldn't pay me enough money.
Floor.
Yeah,
you go up another, like, to the next tier, right?
I'm serious, man. Like, if someone came up to me and said, like, I would pay you $1 million to do the edge walk, I'd have to actually, I'd still think about it.
We're way out of, like, I would do it for significantly less money than that.
Yeah.
Like, if someone was like 25 grand, you're like, nah, I can't do it. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
But so anyway, that's really cool. So the CN Tower, and Nico loved it.
Yeah, Nico loved it. Had a great time at the CN Tower. We ended up doing, there's actually an additional part of the CN Tower. You can go further up in what's called the Sky Pod. And to be honest, man, I don't think it was worth the money. We ended up paying an additional $50 for our entire family to go up to the Sky Pod. And based on the renovations alone and the way they extended the view, just do the regular CN Tower view. I don't think it's worth it. It's pretty sick. But the guy, it's kind of funny too, because, you know, Nico, he knows elevators. He's such a fan of elevators. He asked the tour guide, what type of elevator this is as we're going up to the Sky Pod, and he didn't know at all what he's talking about. He's like, it's an He's like, he looks at him. He's like, it's an Otis elevator. He's like, it's a Series Gen 2, and he points to it on the elevator door. And I looked at Terry, and I'm dying laughing. So, oh man, so funny. But awesome. this poor like teenager didn't know what he was asking. So that was pretty funny.
What about the other tour guide? Because you get the first one on the way up, right? Where he says,
so they didn't actually do the tour guide on the way up, because they wanted that person removed from the elevator because of COVID. So they had like a video playing on the first one up. Okay. But the second one was like at the top of the Sky Pod. He was talking to the guy. Right. And asked him what type of elevator it is. So it was pretty funny. And then after CN Tower, that same day, we checked out the Ripley's Aquarium. He loved it. Loved seeing all the sharks. Loved the tunnel. The tunnel was so cool. There's this for those who don't know, in this aquarium, there's this big like long tunnel, and you can check out the sharks and the hammerheads and fish flying above you. It's really, really sweet.
See the sea turtle?
We saw the sea turtle. Yeah, that was really cool.
Nice.
My favorite part is always the jellies. I love seeing the jellyfish, because the way they light them up with this fluorescent lighting is so cool, sweet. Yeah. So sweet. And then we saw the ROM, Royal Ontario Museum in Toronto. That was also part of the CityPass. Checked out the dinosaurs. Saw a bunch of different artwork. Saw some Indigenous artwork, which is really cool. But his favorite part was checking out the dinosaur bones, and I couldn't blame him. Like, so sick, right?
When I think of the ROM, I think of the dinosaur exhibit. Yeah, and then I think of the Bat Cave.
The Bat Cave was closed off, unfortunately. I don't know why. It's tight quarters, I guess.
What a bummer, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of sucked. But what I really liked the best about the dinosaur exhibit was checking out all the bones, and it gives you a graph of, you know, which ones are real, which ones are fake, and all that. So that was really, really cool. And I feel like the more times you go to the ROM as you grow, you know, you go to it as a kid, you go to it as a teenager, you go to it as in your 20s as an adult, you just appreciate it more and more and more. And every time I go there, you learn a little bit more. But man, I would love to go there. I always told Terry this too. I would just love to go there by myself. Just go there, take a day off work, listen to music, and just kind of walk around. Because that way, like, there's no one there to distract you. You're not there with a friend. You're not there with a family member. And you can read, right? You can just sit there and read the actual articles and learn things. Because, you know, you're with a 4-year-old, you're just kind of rushing through everything and just checking out everything as much as you can. But I would love to go there one day by myself, just alone.
I was going to say, because, you know, it depends on who you go with. Like, I know there's certain people that, you know, if I go to a museum with them, it's like unspoken. You know, Jess and I went to a whole bunch on our honeymoon in Italy, and we almost just wouldn't speak to each other inside. It was, you know, like, are you okay? Are you done here? And if the other one wasn't, then you just keep exploring. And obviously we don't have a 4-year-old to, you know, look after. And get to the next exhibit and see what's, the exciting next turn of the corner. My mom is someone who's great to go with because she makes me appreciate, because she just loves that kind of stuff. And when I go with her, it makes me appreciate it more because she'll explain, some things that aren't necessarily written, or even tell me stuff, like when you were a kid, you used to love this, like this was amazing to you. So it's cool to kind of go through there. And, I never feel rushed with her, but I can understand, I'm picturing like back in school trips where like I wouldn't be done with a certain section. Mm-hmm. But we're done in this room, or we're done here. It's time to move on. And
right.
I can, what you're saying is totally makes sense, and I would probably enjoy it myself too. More so the ROM than any of the other attractions I think that you've gone to. I think the ROM would be the best one to go by yourself.
I would love to just go there. I think I will. And I think you get like there's actually two options. You can get like a season pass to the ROM, so you can have you can go there like every day as much as you want.
Yep.
Or if you have a library card, you can actually go to a library and you can actually rent out a pass to the ROM.
Weird.
The city of Toronto has passes to the ROM that you can just
they still have
rent out
and
yeah. But yeah, like with the 4-year-old, it's a little difficult because, you're just reading something and he's just running off to the next room, and there's lots of people and you just kind of want to not lose him, obviously. So
yeah, of course.
You're kind of going at his pace. And of course, like the Egyptian area was really cool, seeing all the different mummies.
That was my second favorite.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs,
really
and then the Egyptian, like the mummy exhibit,
cool.
just the coolest.
So cool, man. I love that. I love seeing all the different pieces and the artwork there. I want to go back. Honestly, it was that cool. And then after the ROM, we went to go to see. What else did we see after the ROM?
I forget.
I guess today.
Science Center? Because you did cast, so you still have one more to go then.
Today we went to see Castle Loma. So Castle Loma is a very old castle in Toronto, and that was awesome. That was really, really cool. They actually had a big wedding happening. So we ended up stepping out in the garden center, and because I guess the wedding was happening, they had all these different flowers and the fountain going. So it was a beautiful scenery. Mm-hmm. And there was not too many people there, which was really neat. So we had a lot of area to walk around, but gorgeous. Castle Loma is this huge castle in Toronto. You can walk around and explore and learn about its history. That was really cool. And we ended up climbing all the way up to the tower, did the spiral staircase all the way up to the tower, and just got this beautiful city skyline view of Toronto.
Yep.
And Nico just loved it. He just loved climbing the tower. Checked out literally the whole building. And at the bottom, they did this whole like medieval times dragon kind of exhibit where it was kind of like a haunted Halloween corridor. Like there was like cool. it was a big under the basement. There's this big tunnel that goes to the stables at Castle Loma.
There's a secret passageway actually back in the day.
That's right. Yeah. Secret passageway. Yeah. And that secret passageway was decorated with like a bunch of different like medieval artwork and lightning and dragons projected on the wall. It was so cool. And then at the end of that, once you go into the stables, there's actually an animatronic dragon that breathes and like moves around, and he just loved it. He's like, Dad, that's a real dragon. Because we went into the stables, and like the stables were just like kind of fake rubbery ones, and then like when he saw that one move in the big stable, he just thought it was real, and that was actually
I wouldn't blame him.
Yeah.
When we were in grade 4 at my school, I think we had to read a novel. I can't remember the author, but it was a mystery novel that took place at Castle Loma, and there was a murder, and the main characters are trying to figure out who did it and pieced everything together. And I remember there was something about the secret tunnel, and so then when we actually went that year for a class trip to Castle Loma because it was in the book we read, and it was, to be honest, I was disappointed with it. Because it's not really they're just like, this is the tunnel here, but it's secret. But it's not a secret tunnel. If you're in there, it's like, it's right over there. That's how you get to the stables.
I remember that was awesome. Yeah. So after Casa Loma, we went to my niece and nephew's birthday. So we just came back from that. And man, dude, I am tired. Like every single day is a new adventure, and it's been honestly great. I'm spending a lot of time with my kid, and that was the main goal, and I feel like I'm achieving that a lot. So tomorrow morning, we got the Science Center, so that'll be the final stop on my vacation. And after the Science Center, we're just gonna have a blast at. It's gonna be probably 2 hours of that, and it's gonna see all the exhibits. Hopefully, they're not too closed down with like the touch exhibits that you can check out. I don't know what's gonna happen. We're gonna head into tomorrow. We'll see what happens, but I think it's gonna love it regardless. And then after the Science Center, we're gonna end it off with I think a nice little swim at my parents' place and just cap off the weekend and back to work on Monday, man. And I'm gonna feel probably so exhausted on Monday. I'm just gonna vacation for my vacation, man.
Yeah.
But
that's a good week, buddy. Then especially, not that you need a goal for a vacation necessarily, but the idea of, wanting to spend time, especially with friends and family. And the last time we spoke last Friday, you were saying that, maybe the candle's burning at both ends for you sometimes. And, you just needed a mental kind of checkout. And it feels like, from what you're saying, hopefully that you've kind of hit that.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely have. And I would say that it's just, I'm a little worried for my kid. He's starting school, and it's going to be just this new thing. And all these parents go through it, and all the parents that have gone through it. But I'm a new parent, right? Like this is my first time. My first kid is going to go to school, and it's just, I wanted to spend time with him before that happens and show him these new things and show him a little bit around the city that we live in. Because he hasn't seen all these things. He's been reading about them. We actually have a book called Toronto ABCs, and it's like ABC of the alphabet, with every single alphabet being something in Toronto, right? So
that's cool.
He's seen C for Casa Loma a bunch of times, and he always wanted to check it out. So
yeah, now it's checked off.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
What was I going to say? So when does he start school? Is there a date, like hard date?
Yeah, it's just September 10th. He's starting junior kindergarten.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, man.
What day of the week is that? Feels like it's in the middle of.
They actually,
it's a Friday?
Yeah, it's actually a Thursday, I think. Let me just pull up the calendar. Yeah, it's a Friday. So it actually originally was on the Thursday. So they moved it to the 10th because they're doing like a dry run, or maybe it's the 9th. I can't remember now. I have to check my email. But basically they moved it up a little bit because it originally was on the 7th after Labor Day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just to do a dry run with everyone back in school, and then probably some new protocols. I think they needed some time to install the Toronto District School Board did like a bunch of install like a bunch of like air filtration systems, so they probably need time for that. Who knows?
Right.
I don't know what's gonna happen, man.
Yeah.
But we had the option of like. Yeah, we had the option of doing like the in-class training or the virtual training, and I just don't think that's going to be suitable for him right now. He's fine with the mask, so he's going to be wearing it in school, and it's just it is what it is. But he's totally excited, man. He's just excited to meet new friends, right? That's all he wants to do is just meet new friends.
Yeah, and that's the tough part about virtual learning is, if it was, imagine being in high school and doing virtual learning. I have lifelong friendships of people that I met specifically in grade 10, grade 9,
mm-hmm.
Or even after that, in university. And, basically the whole idea of doing like an online university bachelor's degree versus, going there and meeting friends and making bonds in this, when you're all in the same kind of scenario together, it's really tough to take it away. Even, if you're 4 or if you're 20 years old or 18, or 14.
Right.
So
right.
It's tough to have that stripped and not know what the effects of that will be later on in life. When you I always felt comfortable in whatever I did. I had just such a good support group of friends. Even growing up with my cousins, like if we couldn't see each other besides Zoom calls, especially on my dad's side where they're all similar age, now we have relationships with each other that we wouldn't otherwise, where it's it's just a face you see 2 times a year.
Right.
That's that's hardly a cousin. It's I talk to people at work more than my family. So yeah, it's pretty crazy, and hopefully it works out for the best.
Yeah, I think parents have been going through some difficult times with the virtual training, but I would hope that they at least have the chance to make a decision on what's best for their child and all that. And I'm sure it's difficult for the parents to figure out what they're going to need to do with work and work from home, or even if they can't work from home and they still have a child that's doing virtual training like that, how difficult must that be, right? So yeah, it's definitely tough times right now. And, we've been lucky that our kid wasn't in school at the time while this was all going down, but now we're going into it. So we're now part of it. So it is what it is. I'm sure it's going to be fine. We'll see what happens, I guess. I just hope for the best for the teachers. I think the teachers are going to be the ones that are going to be, stepping up to the plate. Like good on them for stepping up to the plate to doing what they can do, whether it's in class or doing virtual training. I can imagine trying to do virtual training with a bunch of kindergartens using laptops and all that. Oh my goodness, it'd be chaos. So how was your week, buddy?
Week was it went by so I can't believe it's already Saturday night at this point. So last Sunday I had mentioned we were going to Arkells.
Yeah, how was the concert?
It was unbelievable. I couldn't have been happier with the first band that I saw. I just for where I am in my musical. The opener? No, I mean Arkells in general. So by the time we got there, we went out for dinner first, and everywhere we went, so this is a Sunday night, everywhere we went was packed. It's still limited capacity, so we went to a couple places. The wait list was 45 minutes, then it was an hour 10. Here it was another hour or something like that. Wow. We ended up circling back to another place. By the time we sat down and everything, the opener was supposed to be at 8:00. I don't think we even left the restaurant until 8, but mind you, we got there at 6:45 or maybe 7. So it's not like we really wanted to see the opener, but Arkells came on at 9, and they're who I'm talking about. There's just, for a homegrown Canadian band, went to the same university as me. They're from Hamilton, very, very blue collar. They've always worked really hard. They've been on a lot of cool radio shows. I think Max, the lead singer, is on a podcast a bunch of times. Jay and Dan from Sports Center used to have them on their podcast. Nick and Max, and Nick is the one that I know that I played softball with, and he's kind of gone out for beers a couple of times. It's just really cool to have them be the first band back, because they just have such passion behind what they do, and you could tell they missed it just as much as all the fans. And everybody. It was kind of, the coming back, the reunion tour of, it was called the Long Weekend, Arkells Long Weekend shows, because they were supposed to do it a long weekend last summer and they couldn't end up doing it. I think it was, the August 1st. First of all, the concert itself was amazing. The lawn was maybe a little bit more packed than I thought it was going to be. But, most people, I'd probably say 25% of people had masks on, and everybody else not really.
Right.
It's it's impossible to patrol that at the same. There's how many security are out there, and they're going to go to people are dancing, and everyone's just going to claim that they're drinking or smoking or whatever. I can't tell what the capacity was, but I would guess it was under 50% of what the full amount is, because I think they said they sold either 30,000 tickets over the weekend, which would be 10,000 a night. Okay. But you've been to the Molson Amphitheater, or now it's called Budweiser Stage, a bunch of times.
Right.
And how many times have you ever, there was no lineup for concession, or hardly any, just depending on where you were. There was no line for the bathroom ever. which is never the case for me. It's always, there's always a line when you need to use the men's room.
Mm-hmm.
And just in general, the whole area felt like there are just less people. So in a way, for especially Jess, her first time back to seeing that kind of thing, me having already gone to the Jays game, that was kind of a relief. I don't think the friends we were with cared at all, but
so just going up, getting a beer, going up to the washroom, no problem.
Yeah,
you're back on your spot. Like no issues and delays and waiting for lines. Yeah,
even just leaving. Like picture when the concert's over and everybody herds because there's only the one exit.
The worst.
And everyone's herding out of there. That wasn't even that bad in comparison.
Nice.
But either way, I mean, the music was amazing. Arkells put on a fantastic show. Max was just boring. There's some bands that are really good and they're just, very technical, or they just write good songs. And other people, Max is just one of those guys. He's, he loves what he does, but born to be on that stage, playing for Canadian fans and getting everybody and rallying them together. And it was really cool. You could feel the energy. It does suck. There's something that I love about going to concerts with Jess where, something that I love about her, that helped me fall in love with her was we go to concerts, she gets so into it and she's always kind of dancing and she'll just, sing the lyrics and look up at me and sing them. And with the mask on, it's kind of taken away. And, so I was like, I was literally thinking, fuck you, COVID during that time. But,
I hear that.
That's not the worst. I know COVID's done a lot of things to a lot of families and people, and there's a lot worse things.
But that was like you felt that, like that was just kind of that feeling that you get with energy you get within music or live music is kind of that moment that it was kind of stripped away from you, right? Because of this thing.
Well, and sitting there and having all this wave of emotion come over to me as everybody's singing, knocking at the door or something, right? I think that was the second song they played. Nice. And just the energy and everything that came back, it was kind of, it was just, I had so many positive emotions flowing through me. And then I looked down and I was like, that's what we've missed. Like these moments of all these people gathering together to watch, 4 guys. And well, now they have, I forget, the Arkells. There's like 3 backup singers and the Northern Souls is their brass band. And
big
stuff.
Background. Yeah. Big background orchestra to make their sound louder, right?
It's so
just
good.
Fills it.
Yeah. It's really
so cool,
good.
Man. If anyone hasn't seen Arkells live before, I would highly recommend you go check them out on YouTube. Type in Arkells live on YouTube. Really, really cool band. Huge band from Hamilton, Ontario. So hometown where Jim's at right now. And it's just really, really cool music. They've been on, I think they've got a bunch of awards too.
They just won Junos, I think this year.
Yeah,
actually.
the Junos, the Canadian Junos. They had that really cool Junos live performance too with that song that you just mentioned.
Yeah, Knocking at the Door.
Knocking at the Door is probably one of my favorite songs by the Arkells. Really, really great Canadian band.
Yeah. Anyways, just like such a cool, such a fun night.
Good to be back.
And honestly, we went with Nick and Rocco, 2 friends of ours, again from high school. Imagine virtually never would have met these guys. And the 4 of us, me, Jess, Rocco, and Nick, we've been to Chicago together. We've been to Pennsylvania together. Nick and I have gone to New Jersey together to see music. Like all these are for music festivals or to see bands. Jess, Nick, and I have been to a bunch of places, not to mention just, regular shows in Toronto, infinite shows in Toronto that everyone's gone to, but especially us 4. So it was really cool as well that, it was kind of like our traveling tour group. The 4 of us were the ones that we were all back together with as well. So,
that's cool, man.
that in itself was really cool. But, so that was obviously the highlight. The rest of the week, focusing more, I guess, just on myself. I switched up. I don't think I mentioned it, but I was trying to switch up, and I'm trying to do workout every day of the week, which I did, and played tennis actually with Rocco on Monday. We were awful, but near the end we were getting better. But it's one of those things. It's tougher to pick up where you left off. You know, like riding a
Mhm.
bike, you don't need to master how to do it. You know, you start to pedal and you go. This isn't like that. And another thing with tennis is if your opponent, you know, if I can't keep a rally consistent with Rocco, he's not having any success also feeling like he's getting back to what he once was, and vice versa. So if the two of us can't rally together, neither of us are, you know, really feeling like, oh yeah, this is, you know, just like I used to play. You know, we both walked off thinking like we've been a lot better. I think near the end we were getting better, and you know, it's always in August, it seems like, when I start to do these summer activities, where it's like, oh, this is a lot of fun. You know, I remember doing this when I was younger. I should get into this more. And it's, you know, we're 2/3 of the way through August.
And boom, the fall happens.
Yeah. So, I mean, but that was still fun. But the workouts have been good.
Good, man.
I feel,
good for you.
You know, feel mentally stronger for making myself do it. We'll see. It's only been 1 week. So next week, try and focus on that. And in between that, Jess and I have basically done a rewatch of Game of Thrones, or actually we have one episode left.
Oh, wow.
And, you know,
season 8
of season 8, and an unpopular opinion. I actually don't mind where we're at in the show. So the very ending of, you know, who's on the Iron Throne and what happens to some of the main characters. I won't give spoilers, although at this point in time, if you haven't seen it, it's kind of your own fault. But I will say, you know, everyone hated the 5th episode because one of their favorite characters maybe does something that they think is uncharacteristic.
Right.
I actually, you know, having now watched it a second time, and they hint at this for the entire show, that something like this is, or at least they have the out that they did look back. You know, there's a flashback in season 2, or a flash forward, where, you know, there's some sort of a prophecy that happens. In the throne room looks like it's covered in snow. Maybe it's not snow. Maybe it's something else. You know, there's other things about that particular character that, you know, when you really look into it, it's not. And the thing is, people just hated it because they didn't like the ending. But I always wonder what ending that they wanted, because, like, you know, there's 2 sort of scenarios that were likely to happen, I thought. And what happened was, I don't think, on anyone's radar. The odds of that happening, if you bet on it on, you know, some sports book, you probably would have made some good cash. But
reminds me of the ending. It's all controversial. Like, it reminds me of the ending of The Sopranos, right? I actually loved the ending of The Sopranos. Nobody liked it. But yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
That one is, I guess, less because they left so much in Sopranos for you to decipher yourself.
That's what I mean, yeah.
With Game of Thrones, I think everyone was just like, really? Really? Are you serious? That's
it's just like, I'm so abrupt
to do for your ending of the series. You know, Sopranos, it's like, I'd be curious how many people out there, not just for Game of Thrones, but if you list, you know, 15 of your favorite TV shows, how many series finales did you actually enjoy? Or how many of the last season did you enjoy of those? If people talk about Dexter, they hated. You know, like you just said, Sopranos, Game of Thrones. I don't know. I've never really heard people complain about Sons of Anarchy, or Breaking Bad. I've heard people say they don't like the finale of Breaking Bad, but again, that's the finale. But the last season was really good. You know, but if you go through shows like that, some of the big ones, even The Wire's 5th season was probably the worst one. I wonder how many people would be like, oh yeah, I mean, because that's the thing. People just don't want it to end when it's so good, and there's all this stuff, and then the writers have to finish it.
Yeah.
And, you know,
you're left wanting more.
I saw a meme actually that was George R. R. Martin saying, you know how much money I'm going to make off the books because of how badly they butchered the show, because people are going to want his ending. So it was like a big ploy of his to just make so much money when the books finally come out. Obviously, you know what? I doubt at this point he'll even be able to finish. I think he's told somebody how he wants it to end. If he didn't already tell the show writers, I'm not sure if that's his ending or not. I really don't think it's obviously going to be exactly like that, especially because they killed off characters in the show, or kept characters in the show that were killed off in the books. So interesting to see, how he'll keep his version going if he ever finishes it. But I mean, the 6th book has been coming out for like 100 years. It feels like,
yes.
And then he still has to write a 7th. There's supposed to be 7 books. So,
oh man.
Anyways, it's been a fun rewatch. The show's unbelievable. It's just insane. Like even Jon Snow. Actually, I won't say too much, but
I was gonna say
the budget is just nuts for some of these episodes. So like I guess with one of the dire wolves,
you're making me want to rewatch it now. I've only seen the series once. I kind of want to start watching it again.
It's worth a rewatch because it's really good.
It totally is. Such a great show. Honestly, it's fantastic.
With one of the dire wolves, people were sad about this dire wolf's how it finishes, how the story finishes.
Yeah.
But the truth is they ran out of money and they couldn't do it. I read that today. I'm like, why?
Oh, that was like a fact?
It was a fact. It's, but they ran out of money. So they couldn't show the proper goodbye that they wanted to, which is crazy because they spent all the money on dragons and all this stuff once it got to the end. And actually that's what reminded me of, Nico saying that's a real dragon. Jess and I watched all the dragons and stuff today. So, That's so cool. So anyways, that's that's been my last little update. 80 plus hours of Game of Thrones. Actually, I guess it's not, but yeah.
That's the one thing I would say about that. I do envy a lot about people who don't have little toddlers running around their house where they can just watch Game of Thrones during the day. Like that sounds like a dream to me because I can only have one episode, maybe 2 episodes a night when he's down, and then that's it. Because I obviously can't watch it while he's awake.
Oh no!
But maybe when he gets to that age, I can finally start crushing through a bunch of these.
What's funny, like obviously, you couldn't show it. The violence alone. The sex scenes. And I always there's a meme I always see that Game of Thrones when I watch by myself, and it's all the fighting and the storytelling and just the acting, and then Game of Thrones when my parents come in, and it's always just naked people all over the screen. It doesn't happen that often, but it's my dad will like the meme is my dad coming in to check in on me, and every time it's someone instantly just got undressed, and then he leaves, and there's this big battle scene, and he comes back, and it's another whorehouse scene, and it's like, how is that possible?
It's always bound to happen. I remember watching some awkward scenes, in movies and stuff like that with my parents, and it's just a part of growing up,
Yeah. Well, yeah. It'd be such a cool watch for him when he is old enough for you guys to sit down and watch it together. If he ever reads the books, that kind of thing. So,
right.
You always have that to look forward to, which is pretty cool.
Right. All right. I guess we'll end it here, buddy. Everyone, thank you so much for listening to our podcast. This has been episode 31 of Crushing Through Life. If you enjoy our show and would like to follow us for more, check us out at linktree.com/crushingthroughlife. That is linktree.com/crushingthroughlife. If you find Crushing Through Life on YouTube, check our channel out, subscribe to us, and you can view our videos. Have a great day, everybody.